What is El Nino? That is the question we've been trying to answer. This is video number 3 in a 3-part series where I'm trying to explain what the El Nino weather effect is and why it messes with our weather, not just here in the United States, but globally. So let's review really quick. The normal global pattern, the normal global circulation is we have air down here that is traveling in this direction from east to west, is traveling this way. Those are called the trade winds. And then up here we have the westerlies, and that's all because of the rotation of the earth, the rising and sinking air, the unequal heating of the earth by the sun, and the fact that the earth is rotating, causing those rising and sinking airs to spin in clockwise and counterclockwise directions respectively. If you have not seen the first 2 videos, the first one is on global circulation and the second one is on the jet stream. Go watch those videos and it helps you to understand a little bit about the nature of that circulation. Okay, so as the earth is turning and we're getting those trade winds coming in, those trade winds are forcing water from over here by South America. They're forcing all this warm water here in the tropical area. They are forcing it toward the west. It's moving all the way over here to Indonesia, to areas of Australia, and all of that. All of that is getting affected here because those trade winds are pushing all of that warm water in this direction. And that is what is known, that's the normal condition. All this warm water collects over here. As all this warm water is collecting over here, that causes lots and lots of cold water to rise up. It's called upwellings. They well up from the deep ocean, bringing with it all kinds of nutrients and all that. And that makes the fishing here really, really great because there's lots of plankton. When there's lots of plankton, there's lots of fish, and the fishing is excellent. And that's the normal condition. Now, this El Nino and La Nina effect, it cycles back and forth. About every 2 to 7 years, we can have the cycle. There's no real way of predicting it, but when it does, we can monitor the effects. What it is this. During an El Nino year, for whatever reason, the trade winds begin to lessen in their strength, and that allows all of this warm water that's been piling up over here in Indonesia to begin to slosh back in this direction. And all that warm water begins to collect off the coast here, off the western coast of South America. As it collects in this area, it suppresses the cold water upwellings, therefore reduces fishing, has a negative impact on the fishing industry and all that in this area, okay? As it does that, by the way, it normally happens around Christmas time when this effect occurs. Thus, in the Hispanic culture in this area, Christmas time is represented by the birth of Christ. That's why we're celebrating it. And therefore, El Nino literally means the child, in a sense, the Christ child, because it happens right around Christmas time. That's when it's occurring. That's why it gets that name. So what ends up happening is what it produces here in the United States is it produces warmer, drier winters here in the United States, in the northern part of the United States, and a lot of wet and flooding across the southern part of the United States. So warm and dry in the north and wet and cool down here in the south. Now the strength of this really occurs again during the winter time, not during the summer. It doesn't affect us as much in the summer because the jet streams are shifted north from where they normally were. And it's in the wintertime that those are south, and that's what causes the greater impact. So the El Nino effect, as the warm water comes here, warm water comes to here, it messes with the global circulation of air, causing the northern United States and Canada to have warmer, drier winters where we have a lot more cool and wet temperatures, cool temperatures and wetness, a lot of rain, a lot of flooding that's going on down here in the southern United States. Oftentimes, this effect can persist for about a year. Now, the opposite, when that begins to relent, the opposite begins to take place. And that is that the trade winds begin to ramp back up in speed, and they begin to blow that warm water back over here to Indonesia, which again brings all of the wet and everything else over here to Australia. During El Nino, Australia is getting droughts and things, but during La Nina, which is the girl, all right, the opposite effect, it is coming over here, all the warm waters collecting back in the Indonesia area, giving them more wet conditions and all that. But over here, the opposite begins to occur. Where before we had warm and dry in the north, we now have warm and dry in the south. And we're here during El Nino, we had wet and cool in the south. We now have wet and cool up here in the north. So those trends begin to flip during that time. And that is the La Nina effect. La Nina also has another name, by the way, which you might hear it called, and that is El Viejo. El Viejo means the old man. And so you have the child and the old man. Again, the idea, La Nina or El Viejo, the idea is that they are representing opposite extremes of conditions. Now, this La Nina effect has been affecting the continent. It's been affecting globally, but it's been affecting North America in particular during the year 2020. It is projected that we will continue to have something of the La Nina effect messing with our weather up until about the end of spring. Once spring eases and we're moving into summer, we're going to have that La Nina effect diminishing, and we're going to go back to what would be considered the normal conditions of global circulation. So that is the El Nino and La Nina effects. And because of that warm water shifting, that whole condition, by the way, is known as the El Nino Southern Oscillation, or ENSO, E-N-S-O, ENSO. Because it's that southern oscillation of that water, warm water during La Nina over here, moving to this side of the globe, and El Nino, it moves back to this side. So it oscillates back and forth about every 2 to 7 years, unpredictable, but that's what's going on with this southern oscillation, and that is how it affects our weather, because all those bump and shift and mess with a lot of the jet stream, and it just changes everything. The atmosphere and the oceans are intimately tied together. What happens in one happens in the other, and vice versa. So it is two parts of the same coin. So when the oceans do something weird, it changes the weather. When the weather begins to do something weird, it can mess with the oceans. That is the El Nino and La Nina effect. I hope these videos have been helpful to you to understand just this incredible system that we have, that God has created, that helps to manage the heat distribution and the rain distribution around the world. It's just a phenomenal system. I hope you enjoyed these videos.